In this video, I'm going to talk about using markers to create fine art and some techniques that you can use using markers. The main idea with marker art is that you make sure you erase any lines that you don't want to be part of your finished artwork because they do get trapped under the marker, or plan and intend to cover your line work with something that won't smudge or smear like Sharpie. So I've drawn out my version of Starry Night, and I've just done the main visual features and main outlines. I don't have a lot of coloring in, and I've used fairly light pencil lines when drawing so that when I use my eraser, those lines can erase pretty clearly. Not 100%, but better than nothing. And then I've also chosen a variety of colors that are different than the original colors of Starry Night. Originally, Starry Night is very much blue and gray and yellow. And so I've chosen kind of a goldenrod as my main color and this sort of magenta. And the rest of these colors are going to be kind of support colors, but these are the ones that I'm going to use mostly. Now, you might think I only have a regular 10-pack of markers, and you can still do some fun marker art with that variety of colors. You just maybe can't do quite as much. So you can still use markers even if you don't have a wide variety. But if you do have a wide variety, feel free to use them. So when you are first starting to do your marker art, you want to decide some things about your artwork, and you might want to choose kind of the main color for those main features. So I'm going to choose my marker, and I'm going to use high quality coloring technique for marker, and that is to say sort of that drag and drop outlining method. And so I'm going to drag my marker to create an outline. And I'm also going to think about the fact that this is a what we call an impressionist artwork. And so this artist tends to actually use lots of short brush strokes. And so I'm going to replicate those by using lots of short marker strokes, but I'm going to be very careful and intentional about the direction that those marker strokes go in because they are visible in my finished artwork. So I'm going to fill in kind of our whole swirl using this and then a variety of couple other colors to create some interest in there, so it's not all going to just be one color. And then I might go and choose some different colors and do maybe my stars and moon, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some other big features and how to make these interesting without just coloring them in just black. So as you can see so far, I've been working on adding my color. I'm working from the lightest colors in my image to what will be my darkest colors. So as you can see, I'm focusing mostly on the oranges and yellows and then some of my bright pinks. I'll have some of those down here too, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about this layering effect that you can create. So you can use lighter colors as bases, or you can use lighter colors as your primary imagery. So if I was going to take this yellow and make another little star, I can do this by coloring and then drawing. And then I can use a secondary color to color on top to kind of give my image more depth. And it makes it just kind of pop out and stand out a lot more, having like two tones layered on top of each other rather than just a single tone. This only works, however, with really light colors as your base. If you try to do a dark color as your base and then go on top with a light color, nothing's going to happen, except for maybe put a hole in your paper, depending on how thick your paper is or how well it can take color marker or color tools. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you want other colors to show up inside of other colors, you can overlap colors and hopefully they will show up. But otherwise, the best option is to color the alternate colors first, like you see I've done with this orange here, and then color your other colors on top. So, or next to it, I should say, not on top. So you can see that my orange does get covered up because pink and orange are close enough together that it's not going to not show up. So if I want my orange to show up as this, I have to make sure I color next to the orange and be careful about not going on top of it. It's helpful if you draw larger if you want colors to sit next to rather than on top. So you can see some places I've actually been coloring, I've been going inside of some shapes. So like my tree will end up going on a little bit on top of this, but my tree is going to be edged with my black. So it will have that texture that I want and my color will still be sitting on top. So let me just show how that would work. So if this is how my tree is going to be, it's going to have more like a smooth side texture like that. I can bring any of those kinds of marks or textures kind of in there, color that. The reason why we would do the color first and the black later has to do with your color order and just ensuring that you're not going to be changing this texture afterwards. Sometimes colors do kind of impact each other, do show up. So do think about your order in that when you're coloring, and try to start from the lightest colors, and you can kind of put them all over the page wherever they're going to go, and then work your way towards the darkest colors, ending with your black. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to add a few more. I'm going to add my colors in my background. I'm going to add a little bit more interest down here in my city and in my hills, and then kind of show the finished version. The final deciding factor is to decide whether or not you want to add black lines, outlines to your imagery. Outlines should always be the last step in your marker artwork, simply because you never quite know what the final shapes are going to be until you've actually made them. If you create outlines first and simply color in, you limit yourself in the possibilities and the color tone changes that might happen otherwise. You're welcome to do that, but it is more interesting to be a little freer as you're drawing and coloring, and then box in your completed shapes afterwards, rather than the other way around.